Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Valorant First Strike UMG Close Qualifiers. We're now heading into the top side of the bracket, where it's going to be a fantastic matchup, much like the one before was. TSM versus Immortals. I can't wait to get it started. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Bach as well as Vansili. And Bach, we'll start with you because obviously Vansili's going to be our map guy. Check it out, TSM Immortals. I think this is going to be a close one. What are you thinking?
You know, it's tough to say. I feel like Immortals has so much fight in them, and I want to see them continue to succeed. But again, they're matching up against a juggernaut from the North American scene. However, you kind of heard it in that call that we just had, that interview with Raucus. They came into this series kind of like, it's kind of like a scrim. We're going to see what we can do. It's early in the morning. You know, it's for seeding, and that's important. But like, we got what we came for. So what will we get from TSM in that regard? Will TSM back off the gas pedal to a certain extent? You know, who knows? It's obviously tough to predict, and that's kind of why I'm going with a bit of a different and more interesting pick, and we'll see if that ends up being the case.
Oh, already trying to get those predictions out of the way. I like it. First, let's do our maps, and then we'll get right into that. Check it out. We've got Haven, Split, and Ascent. I do know TSM ended up coming through and banning Bind. Haven obviously picked by Immortals, who had a fantastic a fantastic Haven showing yesterday versus LG. Vansili, break it down for me.
That's it, and that's I think was going to be the biggest cause that where Immortals might be able to take a map out of this series for TSM is that if JMO is able to pop off like he did yesterday versus LG on Ascent, where I think he dropped like 200 ADR, or at least over, I see 248 ADR actually. He only died 3 times in that matchup, and he was literally plugging it out. So as Bach is saying, if they're going to treat it like a scrim, he's going to be able to play in his level of comfort. JMO on top of, I wonder if it's still Shanks right now playing for Immortals. That could definitely be some heavy hitters versus TSM. But when you look at Bind being banned and you look at the rest of the maps that are available, even all 4 maps I think are very comfortable for TSM too. So they're just playing into a very difficult matchup for the Immortals. But I can't discount them. Like I said, they're an impressive team, and they're able to put some good results on a short amount of time, and especially with players that, you know, some people might not know as much as they did for other teams like TSM.
So, Bach, I got to ask you, TSM, you know, the narrative for them is they're not looking like the TSM we're accustomed to seeing. Now, granted, they're here, right? They're in semifinals, going against Immortals. Obviously, out of all the teams that they had to play against, they went against Moon Raccoons. They ended up beating them 2-0. Immortals is going to be, I believe, a different story, even though they're playing with Shanks instead of Spot Up. Like, Shanks has, without question, not slowed this roster down. After all, they did qualify. They're here, right? So, TSM, do you think they are looking like the TSM once again, or do you think they're looking like the TSM of old?
So here's a funny thing, right? And I want to call out to this because I thought it was actually interesting. I'm looking on Twitter this morning, and I was just reading up on a response about the teams that had qualified, and somebody said TSM is just a one-man army. They've only got one player, and they built their whole team around like that player, and that's why teams like TSM and Cloud9 will ultimately fail, because they build around that one player. And in my head, I'm going, which player are you talking about? Because I could literally like point to multiple players in that roster and be like, okay, does he mean Wardell? Does he mean potentially Sabrosa? Does he mean Drone? Hell, based on the way he's been recently playing, does he mean Hayes? Because Hayes has been playing out of his mind too. Cutler, everyone's going to give him heat for it, but he plays the support role, so I can't necessarily point at his stats and be like, well, he's not as good as the other guy. He's doing a different job. But you know, I thought it was an interesting point. I'm like, how is that the way that this team is seen? People look at this team from the outside, and what they see is Wardell as the jet, the pop-off player. That's the one to watch. But in reality, there's so many more pieces to that puzzle that I think often get neglected. And that's why I think TSM can still win, even if it gets into a scrimmy mode, because they still have that individual firepower. Whereas Immortals, yeah, they've got it too, and Shanks has been playing great as a sub-in, but is it as good as what TSM has? Is that roster as deep as what TSM has got?
Definitely. Well, look, I think when you're looking at that, sorry, Reflections. Just
hey, check it out. We always talk over each other because we like to talk. It is what it is, man. Silly. But go ahead and clear up your point, because predictions are coming up next.
Okay, really quickly, just to say about that Cutler too. Yes, definitely. I mean, Cutler for me, and even TSM as a whole, like I said in the other days, it doesn't necessarily have to be a TSM win like a 13-4 or 13-3 just dominating, right? They've been the ones that have been putting new compositions into the scene and into the community for the competition, and being able to run no sentinels right now and still be able to put some victories is definitely changing. It's game changing for the meta. So I think they're testing things out. They're testing it at high level play, at high level tournaments, and still putting results. So I think I'm happy where I am if I were in TSM's shoes.
I always find it weird that people are so critical on like your support roles. It's like you can't, like, yeah, granted they're not pulling out high numbers, but it's like, nor are they supposed to. They get value in their overall usability on the map and, you know, synergy, if you will, with whether it be the players or the agents themselves. So for Cutler getting the heat, it's not as fair. And for someone to say like TSM was just a one pony show, like that is just totally not the case. They wouldn't be here, plain and simple, okay? Or else they're just breaking the mold. Maybe they are, but they're breaking the mold. I don't think it's the case. Check it out. It's prediction time. I'm excited for this one. You know, I got to go and stay consistent. I've got to stay with TSM. You know, it's funny. Coming into this, I was like, all right, am I going with the Mortals? Am I going with TSM? I got to pick one or the other. You know, I don't think anybody would have called me crazy for going with the Mortals, right? Because the Mortals have been playing very, very well. Lights out, in fact. That victory yesterday again versus LG on Haven was wonderful. It was a beatdown. So I couldn't go with them, though. I got to go with consistency, and I think that's TSM. Now, Bach, you said you were going with something a little bit against the grain, potentially. Who are you feeling?
So here's the thing. The graphic's going to say TSM because that's what I initially predicted.
Okay.
But part of me thinks that I'm wrong and that my initial prediction is incorrect. And the reason I think that is, it's going to come down to who wins the first map. So even though the graphic's going to say TSM 2-1, my brain is saying that, but my heart is saying Immortals 2-0. I know that sounds crazy, but I think that Immortals can come out swinging on the first map and potentially take the series by upsetting the flow. Either way, if I'm wrong, I'll be a 6 out of 10, which is basically what I am in real life. So that's not bad.
I disagree, but go on.
Well, on my end, I'm going to stick it to TSM as well, but I'm going to be very confident on my 2-0 on top of that too. I think seeing TSM yesterday as well, when they were fighting for the qualifier versus Moon Raccoons, right? That was the question mark. Hey, Moon Raccoons, they're looking amazing. They're looking amazing. They could be this underdog, this dark horse. TSM's not looking into shape. Man, you saw that was a quick 2-0 from TSM before then. You had Sabrosa and Drone that were playing together, and they were on point. They weren't really playing passively. They were playing straight in the face in front of their opponents and still able to win those fights. Yeah. So I think TSM is still going to come out to play today as well, and they're going to take this 2-0.
Look, you know, nothing against Immortals. First and foremost, Bach, I agree with you, man. My heart wanted to go with Immortals. Like that's where I was, okay? And, you know, I almost did. I'm not going to lie. But then again, it's like sometimes you just got to go with your brain, but it's even though it's still not working. T1, for example, just lost to FaZe. We were all wrong on that, and, you know, in all regards. It's tough. It is what it is. Today's a little bit different. Again, you know, it's more of an advanced scrim, right? That's what they're playing for. But again, they're playing for seeding. It is still very important. I don't know. I'm super curious to see how this is going to work out. Immortals, again, has been on fire. I think for them to make grand finals, despite, you know, the kind of run that they've had and the issues that they've gone through, would be very, very impressive indeed. And Immortal versus FaZe, come on. I mean, it could go either which way. Same thing here for TSM versus Immortals. Obviously, we're TSM across the board. We know there's some specific co-streamers out there who are going with TSM too, so they're going to be supporting them. I know there's a battle between, well, Myth doesn't know, but there's a battle between Tanner Metro and Myth, okay, whenever it comes to who is going to be the coach for this roster, okay? It's very passionate on their end. But hey, check it out. It is going to be a lot of fun. So let's talk about it. Once again, let's break it down even more. TSM Immortals, Bot, player versus player, who are we looking out for?
Oh, man. You know, I feel like you do have to watch Shanks. Even though this is not a player from this roster, I feel like how can you not? He's an explosive player, and he's one to watch out for. On the other side, who do you not watch? That's actually the question: is who are you not keeping your eyes on? You know, Drone has pop-off potential. Sabrosa has pop-off potential. Wardell, he's going to be the loudest player, which is probably why he's the most visible from an outsider's perspective. But the impact of those other two can't be negated. Hazed has been so incredibly good in those clutch scenarios, especially like looking at a map like Haven on the seaside. He's been so massive with some big 3K and 4K rounds. And then Cutler, even he gets, you know, tagged as Clutchler from time to time. He's like a player you want in that 1v1, 1v2 situation. You know why? He's bald. You know why he's bald? Because his brain is so big that it pushes all the hair out of his head. That's like me. We're just so smart that our brains have pushed the hair out of our skull to make extra room for more brain power. That's why he's good in those scenarios. So realistically speaking, that's what TSM has. And that's why Immortals has a tough order in front of them. You know, it's difficult to match up pound for pound with a team that has as much firepower as they do. And also, TSM could even just goof around and like kind of change up their agent composition to try some new things out. Would not be surprised to see Hazed go onto a Viper at some point just to see if it's viable for him. You know how much he loves that agent. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of these players play any agent, and that's what makes TSM so scary. I think you could really see anyone play any agent on TSM.
Big brain, smooth heads. I think eggs are going to start trending in chat once again. Bach, you've done it again to the mods, and now they're going to have to battle their own battle, if you will. Check it out. Map is getting started. I can't wait for this to be underway. Immortals, right? Are they going to be able to do what they did to LG yesterday? I don't think so, but hey, the possibility is there. Let's see if they can replicate success. For TSM, though, they want this equally as more. So, boys, take it away. TSM Immortals moving into Haven.
Thank you very much, Reflections. I think that it does kind of point us to an interesting question. If you're not spamming about eggs, is it worth spamming at all? I mean, come on now. Obviously, the eggs are the most important thing. But seriously, getting into this series, you know, I still am on both sides of the fence, man. I can see Immortals winning this. I really can. But at the same point in time, my brain says there's no way that TSM loses this. Because TSM is just too conditioned to lose.
This was the map where Immortals, when they played LG yesterday, this was probably LG's map pick, and LG were able to come back from 12 round on defender side, 10 round in a row versus SSG on defender side on this map. And when I saw that it was, you know, 10-1 or whatnot for Immortals on the attacker side, I was like, they don't have to worry about anything. I think LG could step it up onto the second half. But the thing is, Immortals just did a great job to nullify any type of opposition that they had from LG. Mata at some point, I think, only had 2 kills into the game on that map. So they did a great job to hold that. And this round, it seems as though they're expecting this push coming in from the sewers for Immortals, and 2 to drop early for TSM. As only 1 more inside the site, it's going to be Wardell, and that push is coming in for Immortals too.
Oh, Wardell getting gunned down as Shanks is the point man for Immortals, leading in as Reyna.
Spike planted.
Immortals looking solid in the pistol as TSM is now down to just 2 players. It's going to be Cutler and the Omen by his side. See if they can make it in. Hazed trying to spot some targets, but it's actually Cutler through the smoke and the edge of the wall to take care of JMO. So they're going to be moving in closer and closer. Gangsta's around the corner with 1 HP. And still taking their time getting into position. They're waiting for this dark cover to fade. Now it starts to, but that makes it all that much more difficult as the recon dart lands and his teammate goes to the wayside. Immortals pick up a massive pistol round win.
So again, Immortals expecting that push coming in from the sewers on pistol versus TSM, something that they often do to try to take the A control quite aggressively on their side on Haven. And then especially going with an agent composition that doesn't have any sentinels, eventually they want to add pressure in the back. So adding that trap wire and also a camera on grass, courtesy of Neptune, definitely allowed Immortals to push into the side very comfortably on that pulse plan. Very difficult to win for TSM, where on this eco here, looking to put pressure back on that long A sign, but really you're counting on Reyna, actually, on the garage. So with that triple duelist, you see Sabrosa switching over. 24 HP, but it's not too bad. He still has 1 Devour remaining if he's able to get a kill. But you can see how Immortals still playing it passively. They want to let TSM come to them, knowing that they have to press charge on this eco.
Wardell jump peeking currently, trying to get that intel as to where Immortals is moving. The young guns of Immortals slowly working their way up long A. 55 seconds left as they get 3 players right at the tail end of this. And this is a misread coming in from TSM. They start to rotate their forces out of the site at the worst possible time as they now go for the execute. The site is completely empty. It's been vacated. They'll be able to get a free spike plant out of this one. Drone. 30 HP as he tries to come into the site. Shanks says, no way. Site's closed. In the words of the little girl from Forrest Gump, sights taken. No?
Nope.
You don't know the reference? I'm disappointed. You're a boomer too. She says seats taken, but sights taken. It's a bad joke. I'm old.
We're done. Nonetheless, though, we do have a big paranoia to come through. The attempt as well for TSM. Coming outside the window, that's 3 kills with Classic, so that works out. A 2 versus 1 to go. Neptune to pick up 3 kills of his own. But not until 3 of them fall, so a really good eco in the end for TSM. Hurting that economy, forcing some guns out. Again, we talked about, hey, if you're going to lose against Eco, you want to keep at least 2 players or 3 players alive so that the ones with the economy moving into the next could drop for your teammates. And you can see it. The result now is that Neptune is stuck with the Bulldog. The other ones are going for rifles, but they have small shields, where you're now bringing the op out for Wardell on the attacker side and a lot of rifles on their end too for TSM that could make things look a little bit more dangerous now, especially that TSM, they're playing on the defender side to start. Immortals looking to push very aggressively with what they have towards this long C side, and Hayes just goes for that spray through the smoke, connects onto JMO. The top fragger, as I mentioned before, for Immortals on that previous matchup versus LG, but Shanks is not done. He continues to push in. He now for IMM, but the retake attempt as Wardell is already in position.
Wardell, not even sure where that Al drone was. It was so high it actually escaped the scope on his op, and he gets tagged again as a result, as no one took it out. So 2 darts for Wardell as they're trying to come through from spawn. You can see drone is set up ready to go for a flash through, playing on the Phoenix. I'll take a dart in his side, and the team's going to start backing off. They realize this one's lost. There's not much that can be done, so TSM will surrender another round away. As Immortals go for a fast take towards C, initially it looked good for TSM as you watched Hayes take that long-range duel through the dark cover, pick somebody off, but just wasn't prepared for the push that continued coming in that direction. 3-0 start for Immortals. Again, I kind of said it, and I don't want to pretend I'm riding both sides of this, but I could see a reality where Immortals could 2-0 this. Had to start off strong on this first map, and thus far, 3 rounds in a row, it's looking pretty good, but again, still the early game, and still plenty of time for TSM to turn it around.
And when we're talking about pound for pound, player for player, based on their rules, I think when you're trying to compare Wardell with, you know, I would assume usually with Shanks, if he had the opportunity, he would go for a Jet Op 2. But now you're going to compare Wardell face-to-face versus JMO. I'm going to have to give that to Wardell. But when it comes down to the duelist, though, especially talking about Shanks, that could still be a toss-up. Shanks could still be that player that's going to pop off and make things very difficult for somebody like Sabrosa, who's currently playing the mirrored Reyna, to pop off on his end. So far, they've done good to hurt his economy, where he cannot help and support, as he's only working with the Sheriff right now. While the rest of TSM, they do have weapons to work with, but they are playing more turtled into the site after you've given him a little bit of map control on the long A side. But with that, Immortals falls back. They're going to pick up the spike. They're going to try to lurk back towards C, where the anchor player, Hayes, has to try to come up big again.
Cover going out.
There's the flash coming out. Hayes doesn't stand a chance. Tried to either throw down a flash of his own or a smoke, but instead just gets overwhelmed, bombarded by that fast play onto the site. And you've got Empress popped now by Shanks, increasing the fire rate and decreasing the likelihood of a TSM round win. Nice shock dart into the backside of site that allows Wardell to get into a better position with the operator. Smoke starts to fade. It's another pickoff for Wardell. He's going to have to hit a quick scope, doesn't get it. It's now down to Cutler. We called him Clutchler in the pregame. Does he have what it takes here? Nice recon dart and takes down JMO. He's got time still. 51 HP, though, is going to be his biggest barrier. As the clock starts to tick down lower and lower, and now it's lost. Not much can be done. Well played by Gangsta in the end, but it was a great effort from Cutler to try to get back in for the retake.
Yeah, Shark Dart was huge there to get that kill and try to make things even, but you saw it. As soon as on that 2 versus 1, you saw Gangster, he jumped back towards that default box, and it's just ring around the rosy between those boxes and really allow the time to come in favor of the Immortals after that pulse plant to be able to get the round, secure the round in the end. So 4 unanswered rounds for Immortals. Hayes a little bit caught off guard, as I guess the smoke that he tried to set up before was for a different area across the map, so that kind of left Long C open, so that when Shanks ran in with that Lear, although it's close range, you were still juggling your abilities for Hayes, which, you know, caught him with his pants down, and Immortals got an open sight again.
There.
Now Shanks, look how far these cages are going. They really want to look for the audible cues. I love this. Spamming through the boxes, blaze wall, forcing back drone, and you hear him running through the cages, so you know that the pressure points on sewers and on long A has been given up, and they have to fall back for TSM, which allows now Immortals to push forward. But Drone has different ideas. He wants to try to push back, but JMO answers.
I know exactly where you are.
JMO, another kill for JMO, and the hat comes off, giving away the position of Wardell, who's got those knives out, and they know that the C site is basically empty, so they'll be turning things around and running across the map. Hayes is going to have to
hat is
shuffle
going to be good
to get
enough
back into
here
position.
to give the cue for Immortals to get into C. As you saw Hayes rotate back towards that spawn side, and with those smokes, it's going to be an easy plant. TSM will have to come up huge with these pistols that they purchased, and it starts off with doubling up, tripling up towards the garage, and moving in together. I think I like this. You have the Lear. I don't know if you saw the Paranoia, probably left for Hayes, where they could maybe explode if they want to. But you see from the way that they're looking at their angles, they want to go for one of those weird entries, exits, or really count on Wardell to try to get Blade Storm kills. But the camera is going to give enough position. They're going to spot it. They're going to smoke it right away. Stealing sight. And you just hope to get an upper hand in the end. Big Paranoia, but it's protected by teammates. The crossfires are there. The trade in the end too. But it's going to be JMO with a 4K. And we have 5-0 for Immortals over TSM.
Now, this is a big round, though. You know, this is a heavily important round. The Ares buy early on from Wardell. Bit of a meme. Switches back to the operator. And we aren't going to see an operator on the attacking side. And to be honest, not surprised. Wardell did have a couple of nice quick shots come out from his in a scenario that was just too difficult for him, trying to retake that C site. So what do they decide to do here? It looks like they want to get aggressive. So they're actually getting aggressive towards A main. Sabrosa pops the ult, and that's what allows him to execute JMO. He goes for the dismiss and sneaks into the corner, goes inside the cyber cage as well. That pulse is going to hit as they spam away. They heard the ping on the cyber cage. So it's a good connection and a good read coming in from Immortals. The aggressive play from TSM stomped out. And Immortals now has to shift their weight elsewhere. JC Stani just trying to lead the team back to C, but they still had one lingering piece over towards A. It was Neptune, who's been taken out since. He was low on HP and dropped. Now they have to fight with Wardell, who's backside sight. Shanks gonna go down, and just like that, TSM finds their round. I think Immortals got caught off guard by the early aggression.
Well, when you have a run it back and an Empress that came through and you're trying to push, sorry, it's the Hunter's Fury, but countered back by an Empress, pushing up towards that sewers to try to go for those trades, you kind of want that. You like to see it from TSM to get that early aggression and control that area. But as they sort of lost it, they didn't expect Cutler to push up at the same time. So as you control now the 8 pushes, you're pushing it back towards C, where the operator instead, where you see Wardell usually try to opt towards A long for a couple of rounds before, he's now playing towards the C side, which allows for them to walk right into his sight and get these kills. But these are huge right now. The control that you have from Immortals early into long A is beautiful with the recon dart and the cyber cages. So you're forcing always TSM in like obvious spots if they're trying to stay inside the site. Recon owl, now you know they're playing behind default. This is the call for them to explode in. I like this.
JMO gets vertical as well. Tailwind into an updraft and just gets vertical over his opponent. It's an easy kill picked up with the Blade Storm. Now Hayes has managed to drop Shanks in the meantime. And Hayes is still in position, finding kills from Heaven, 28 HP, but Hayes has gotten 2 to bring things back to a 3-on-3. They still have to contend with JMO, who's got that Blade Storm active. There's 2 players sitting in hell currently. This Paranoia that's getting prepped. We'll see where it goes. It actually goes to the close corner, so they're going to clear that out first. You still got JMO in position, but it's down to JMO, and JMO only. The right click is right on the money. No smokes left, so JMO just has to fly out. It's knives against Op, and he gets high enough in the sky that Wardell can't connect. No time to go to the sidearm either. JMO walks away with an operator out of the scenario, and TSM lose another round to Immortals here in this first half. Solid hold from JMO.
And that kill, that kill that he got on Cutler, he had two options right after that. I was going to say the only thing that could have saved him was the updraft on a 1 versus 1. Maybe he knew that as well, but miscounted that a dash was available too as soon as he got the frag onto Cutler. But that was definitely the key ability that put Wardell out of his position, because you saw that the way that he was creeping in, he was about to take that down. So an attempt for a TSM that got foiled from just a triple. It was 3 players right inside Hell. I don't think they expected that from TSM either. But TSM, for this round, you have Hayes playing inside the smoke. They're about to walk up, and they expect that. Shanks is already pre-firing before he runs in. They also ping out Wardell. That's going to be an easy kill. Another site easy for the taking, as Cutler off the rotation is trying to play towards a different angle, but he gets picked off. So a 5-on-2, spike planted. Drone does have a run it back, but I don't think he's going to pop it for the retake.
Going out.
You already have the other one watching the flank on Sabrosa. They're looking to save their weapons now.
This is not looking so good for TSM. Currently being bested by another 3-letter acronym, the IMT boys. Or not an acronym, it's an abbreviation, I guess. Although, let's think of a good abbreviation or a good acronym for IMT. It's Incredible Man Turrets. Doesn't work.
With
We'll
no
come up with
killjoys.
something better, I promise. TSM, they're going to have to come up with something better if they want to come back in this half, as Immortals has bested them on almost all occasions. Consistent side control has been really difficult for TSM. They can't seem to lock down the fringe sites. A and C are the issues. There is no presence towards mid whatsoever. And I feel like if you're Immortals, that's what you have to be careful of now, because now TSM is potentially going to start pushing down mid. I think that's what they need to do. They need their players to start getting aggressive through garage and through mid, because for the most part, we're seeing presence on A and C long every round, but we're not seeing as much towards mid and towards garage.
The thing is right now for Immortals is that they are going to explode based on the abilities of all the agents, with the exception of Omen. What I mean by that is you're always going to throw that smoke towards long C. Let's talk about it a little bit, actually, a little bit later, because Sabrosa actually is creeping down. He gets the first kill, but not able to dismiss on time, so he gets immediately traded off by JMO. Now that they're rotating back towards A, I would not be surprised if you see a dart coming through, and then you also have an owl drone, but it's going to be the Empress and Lears to lead the charge for Immortals to move inside A. Waiting to play the retake as everybody's falling back towards the spawn site. A stinger in the hands of Cutler. Still have time to work with.
I'm a little disappointed that we didn't see Drone go up into the window with Sabrosa peeking towards mid garage.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting to see how things changed the dynamic on that. JMO is going to shred apart Wardell. Drone at least finds one on his ult entry into the site with Run It Back. Now that gets taken care of. But the clock is becoming a problem. Hayes has to move in closer. Nice Lear coming through. It allows the peek from JMO as he's focused more on long than short. And JMO is going to cap off the 4K. Of course, why not? JMO's been on a tear the last few rounds as well. Immortals, 8 rounds. JMO, 14 kills, 5 deaths. And that's with a 9-5 and 9-6 performance coming in from Shanks and Neptune as well.
I was going to say, like, one of these maps where you would see Immortals shine is if you have someone like JMO able to pop off like he did versus LG. I was going to say no, but JMO's definitely proving me wrong in this first half so far. But just to get back to what I was trying to say before is they're really running for the executions on A side off recon abilities from the Sova, and if they're trying to go towards C, from Gangsta, and if they're trying to go C, then it's always Shanks opening up with the Lears coming through. So they kind of have to get ready for that kind of stuff. If they hear the abilities trying to be being utilized by Gangsta towards A side, you might have an idea that the hit will eventually come towards A for TSM.
Gangsta has 10 assists, and that's all off that recon dart work. So, I mean, you mentioned it. It's definitely a big part of what they've been able to do thus far. Also, TSM currently at 24 kills. The top 2 performers from Immortals combined have 23. So, kind of illustrates the issue currently, as TSM has to get back into yet another site, losing control of this A site, trying to play for the retakes. The drone will go in first, flying around the corner with another drone just behind him. This one's actually alive, though. Nice big paranoia coming through, and he can't dodge that one. Well placed from Immortals, and this is looking disastrous. There's only one player left standing. It's Sabrosa. He's on the other side of the play. Might be able to get one kill, and I hope he does. Otherwise, it's a flawless round victory for Immortals. Yeah, he gets an easy shot to the back of JC Stanny's skull. But they know where he's at this point, and there's not much that can be done. Goes for the dart pole. They're going to go for the swing. Dismiss to get away. A dash out from JMO. I like the move. It's 9 rounds to 1. Immortals look fantastic.
What is going on with the Jets today? First Baby Bay, now JMO. These guys are on a different level for these earlier matches. I can't even say it's early anymore, because now we're finally in the afternoon matches where these guys should not have the ability to say, oh, well, it's an early game, we have to wake up early.
It is a Sunday, and if it's the day of the Jets, maybe the New York Jets will finally get their first win. They're facing off against the LA Chargers at 4 o'clock. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Rip to all the Jets fans in chat, sorry. To all 11 of you that exist in the world. 9-1 for TSM. For Immortals, excuse me, over TSM.
Camera taken out.
TSM definitely not looking like the team we expect them to. Nice movement from Neptune to get into that position and just toss out another cyber cage. But again, we're just seeing pressure on either A or C. It's one or the other. There is no mid presence. And I like the fact that they're finally having those reads from TSM. You can see them starting to make their way in. That's why Hayes was able to pick off Neptune. Gangsta's got the ult pop as well. There they go into the site. JC standing back box with the into the shadows. Not enough charges there from Cutler to cancel the spike plant. The spike will go down. It's a 5-on-4. It's one of the first times in a while we've seen a numbers advantage here for TSM as Wardell tries to fly in with the shotgun out. Nice shots onto Shanks. Follow up onto JMO. Swaps aside to the rifle. And it puts all the pressure on JC Stanny and Gangsta, but hold on. They somehow make this work. The HP is low, so this is still quite difficult. With Sabrosa and Drone both coming through. The blaze wall is going to go up.
Wow.
That's a quick flick from Sabrosa. And a vertical one, to say the least. JC Stanny can't even go through this blaze wall because his health is so low, he died to the flames. He'll pick off the diffuser, but it doesn't matter. There should be time here for Drone to get it. It's going to be close, but it'll be down to about 1 second on the clock as TSM pick up a second round.
Last round in the hash.
And as you said, it was rare to see a 5 versus 4 on a retake for TSM, but it's also a nice retake from the judge play from Wardell to make it even easier for the last two guys to get those kills for that combo of Sabrosa and Drone, just due to the fact that they were actually really far on a rotation. They were playing towards the sewers on a double because Neptune made a lot of noise. He kind of kept them both there for quite a while until he was able to rotate back and move in with his team. So with that, it was a lot of time wasted for rotation for TSM, but it turned out quite well in the end because of Wardell. And this round, it's going to be explosive for Immortals. Expect that Lear to come out, the cloud burst outside of the dark cover. And Hayes does not shoot it out, so they just dash into the site. And unfortunately, two of them, both defenders inside the C site fall.
Spike planted.
Yet again, Immortals escalate the pace and get a spike plant out of it. And leave TSM with reduced numbers. TSM are trying to make their way in, but it is not going well. Good God. A flawless round to cap off an impressive first half, 10-2.
Switching sides.
Immortals stomping on TSM currently. 17 kills for JMO. 12-6 is Shanks just behind him. The top performer on the other side is Sabrosa, excuse me, sitting at 8-11. That's a pedestrian pace for a player like Sabrosa.
Even worse, unfortunately, Drone at 2-9, right? And we always talk about Drone of being one of the best Phoenixes in North America. And he's not able to put those numbers up. And it's also due to a lot of these situations where on retakes, they can't really get it done for TSM. The amount of times they push in as a group, every single time, or most of the times, you see a lot of red on the left side of the kill feed, which means there's no trades that are happening. So is it a lack of information moving into the site, not really setting up for the trades? But on this half, it's going to be Shanks and his company doing the same thing as TSM did on Pistols, but they're the ones that come out on top. Pushing down the sewers, getting the first kill, now this time falling back into the site. even a dark cover to slow down the pace of TSM as they have to recuperate the spike towards spawn. But it's still a 4-on-3. Silver lining is that you have 2 players, and Gangsta and Shanks, who are very low on HP. So this could still be very doable as they're booking it towards the C side. Thing is, though, Neptune anchored inside C side, playing off the camera first. And that is going to be the tell to just hold in.
Wardell is there with the frenzy. And a quick 1-2 punch from the frenzy. Sabrosa now. All the way in defender spawn. Trying to work his way through with that Cypher Ghost. 30 seconds left. The spike is down on long C, so it's a good distance away from him currently. He's trying to spot somebody out. He hears the footsteps. That's the jump peaks coming in. Now, did they get that jump peak in time? I don't think they got it in time, so they didn't get that intel necessarily, but they were still holding the angle regardless. The recon dart's going to give away the position. Sabrosa is really just looking to do something, make something happen here. But they are making it so incredibly difficult as Shanks swings to find a 3K on the round. The advantage for Immortals grows to 9.
I wonder if that moment...
Hold on.
Because
they have a bigger round differential than any of the players on TSM have in kills. That's crazy.
and I wonder, you saw from that recon dart that was shot towards the ground, as soon as Wardell got pinged out, the cyber cage came up too. So I know for the players that are playing in Immortals, they didn't want to peek out to fight versus Wardell while Shank still got the kill, but I wonder with the time remaining, did you want to try to run out the clock so that no money comes in favor of Sabrosa, on that 3 versus 1, so no money gets accumulated by Sabrosa into the next round? That could have been something very interesting to look into the next time. But this round, it's going to be a quick push towards this B side, trying to get a plant through, and that's just JMO doing JMO things. 3 kills, 1 more to go. Cutler is inside that window on a forced buy from TSM. They get 1 and that's it.
Match point.
Well, Immortals ready to close out map number 1 in an impressive fashion, as the buy that comes in from TSM will not look good. 12-2 currently for Immortals. That is not mistyped. The teams are not reversed. TSM struggling here on map number 1 to match the blistering pace that was set for Immortals. I'd love to go back and see when we started this game, because this feels like it's been incredibly fast. Like 10 to 15 minutes, maybe.
I was going to say, you want to start back at the beginning? It's like 5 minutes ago.
it feels like this game literally just started. It's kind of wild.
Yep. Map point now for Immortals. The camera up. And right now they could try to burst out through the dark cover, but GC Steiny has different plans. After that recon dart comes out, just spam through the smoke because they know the execution's coming, and it's just paying off. Ford already dead. Sabrosa, not many chances to go on another lurk. That's twice that he's trying to do something for the team with the lurk, but it doesn't pay off. And Immortals, they take their first map 13-2 over TSM.
That was absolutely incredible. The performance from Immortals was top-notch. We're going to go ahead and throw things to a break and see if they can keep that blistering pace moving into map number 2. Stay tuned.